Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott and I'm the Emperor of Stomaria. Today I want to talk about the Imperial Summit 2024. So for those that don't know, the Imperial Summit is an event within the Empire in which the citizens and supporters of Stomaria and the member states of the Empire can come together in order to build closer ties with one another. It's an occasion where there'll be feasting, there'll be competitions, there'll be trade and commerce and all the rest of it, all designed to build that real world community, to forge those ties with one another, to bring us all together in a more meaningful, real way. And the first time that we ever held an Imperial Summit was last year. So it was the Imperial Summit 2023. We held that in June to commemorate Stomaria's 4-year anniversary. And it was a very interesting affair. It was quite successful. There were a good few people there where there was feasting, there was competitions, there were workshops, and more besides. And it was an opportunity for us to really test the waters, to see how we could do this. Now, the Imperial Summit last year was held at Southwood and Wayward South. These are two adjoining woodland territories, one under the authority of Stomaria and one under the authority of Wayward. But because they're adjoining, there's no boundary or border really. It's a relatively open plan. And we used the woodland last June to host the Imperial Summit. And it was a good way to show off what we had accomplished up to that point. And so with this year, with 2024, there was actually a bit of a question mark over it as to whether or not we were actually going to have an Imperial Summit this year. Because this year is really going to be the year that we're trying to accumulate as much revenue, to generate as much revenue, to build up the treasuries, if you like, of not just Stomaria, but also the member states of the Empire, in order to accomplish our goals far faster, to take the next step, to acquire that additional territory, to be able to develop that territory in a meaningful way. And the Imperial Summit, hosting the Imperial Summit this year, is not necessarily going to help to accomplish that, in the sense that it is fantastic to be able to bring people together, to enjoy each other's company, all the rest of it, but it is a significant amount of resources and time that is dedicated to the event as opposed to the acquisition of the next plot, the next territory, the next province. And so there was some and ahhing about it as to whether or not we were actually going to have the Imperial Summit in 2024. However, the thing that swung it for me in the end is that, in my mind, the Imperial Summit was always supposed to be an annual event. But more than this, if we had the Imperial Summit in 2023, but didn't have it in 2024, but we did have it in 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29, my OCD would not tolerate a gap. And so that ultimately was the thing that decided it for me. Even if it's a very low-key, small affair, which is perfectly fine, then we will host an Imperial Summit this year. And so the summit is going to be held on the 31st of May, the 1st of June and the 2nd of June, and it's going to be held at Southwood and Wayward South, just as it was last year. Now, I'm actually going to go down to Southwood and Wayward South in a week. I've taken a few days off work and I'm going to be helping to prepare the woodland for the summit. There are a list of jobs that I want to get done. There are various things that are still outstanding, which I would like to really hit the nail on the head and just get it finished, so I don't have to worry about it on the lead up to the Imperial Summit itself, and I can be a bit more relaxed, I suppose. Now, one of the things that is quite apparent is that a lot of the expense that went into the Imperial Summit last year is largely already taken care of, in the sense that the Imperial Summit this year, we'll obviously need things like food and cutlery and things like that. But honestly, beyond that, there isn't much more that we need, in the sense that we've already spent a lot of funds on, getting the archery set or the air rifles, or getting the necessary tables or chairs or bins or fire extinguishers or any of the other equipment that was necessary for us to actually host the summit last year. We still have that equipment. So the expenses shouldn't run much more, I would think, beyond £200 or £300 perhaps for the summit itself. Perhaps a lot more is going to get invested in terms of time and resources in preparing the woodland, but that is not necessarily just for the Imperial Summit. These are things that we already want to do with Southwood and with Wayward South, which again, two adjoining provinces. We want to get them to a point where we can actually take a step back, look at it and go, there, we've reached that point. We're happy with that. We've got enough raised beds. We've got enough solar panels. We've got enough infrastructure there. The pathways are well maintained and they're looking good. And we've addressed whatever issues in terms of like flooding or mud. The clover seed has been scattered and it's all springing up across the woodland. So now it's not just mud. Now it's got like a grassy lawn kind of feel to it. To help with the pollination as well and all the rest of it. So that's something we want to do. Getting all the flowers and shrubbery established in the beds to make it more floral, to make it more attractive in the spring and summer months. There's a lot of things that we need to do. One of the main things actually is just literally just continuing to clear out the woodlands. Ever since I took control and ownership of Southwood, for those that don't know, Stomaria, or more specifically the Imperial family, purchased Southwood from Wayward. Southwood actually was just Wayward before we interacted with them. After a few years, we got to know each other and all the rest of it. We made the decision that we would purchase one of the plots that made up Wayward. So now that's why it's Southwood and then Wayward South, which is the remaining territory of Wayward in that particular part of the world. So got sidetracked. But anyway, since I've took control of Southwood, one of my main goals was to clear it, in the sense that it was very built up, it was very crowded, very, I suppose, messy in some sense. A lot of the stuff there had a practical purpose, but it was just very untidy. It wasn't very well kept. That's not to rag on Wayward or wherever else. They just made the most of the resources they had to hand. But for those that know me, you'll know that I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like things to be ordered. I like things to be structured. I like things to be minimalistic. And so what we've been doing with Southwood is just that. I've been taking as much rubbish or anything surplus to requirement out of the woodland, and it's either been burnt or recycled or taken away by people that deal with that kind of rubbish. And we've just been pulling as much of this stuff out of the woodland as possible to leave what's necessary for us to actually build an economy in terms of an agricultural economy or an energy economy or a manufacturing economy or whatever else, on very small, low key, craft level stuff. Obviously, we're not establishing factories or anything like that. But as I say, I just want to make it as productive as possible, but as minimalistic as possible, and have a refocus on the ecology, on the environment of the actual woodland itself, which is why we are, in part, doing the clover, while we're planting the bulbs, or planting hedging and all the rest of it. It is just to add to that sort of flora aspect of the woodland, because it is still a woodland at the end of the day. Now, all of that is to say that all of the time, effort and energy that goes into preparing this woodland, Southwood and Wayward South, for the Imperial Summit isn't strictly just for the Imperial Summit. It's something that we are going to be doing anyway, regardless of whether or not we were going to hold the summit. But since we are, it's good to get it done beforehand, just so we can bring in the citizens and supporters of the Empire, and we can show people, especially people that haven't been in for a while, maybe not even since the last summit, look at what we have accomplished since then. Look at what we've done. Look how many more raised beds we've established. Look at all the clover that's taken root all over the place. Look at all the old chicken pens of the dilapidated structures that's been removed, burnt, got rid of, and all the rest of it, and just made it all so much more appealing. And during the actual event itself, now, there are still discussions taking place as to what exactly we're going to be doing. But one of the things, and I'm not going to, I mean, there's already been an announcement on Wayward's social media, so I don't think it's, a spoiler exactly. But they recently got a catering trailer, so that may well feature at the Imperial Summit. If enough attendees arrive, we can justify its usage. We also are looking at like a bouncy castle, officially for the children, but if I'm there, then I might pull rank and just have it as my executive area. But something I think little Princess Eleanor will enjoy, and any other children that may attend at the time. So I think, that's aside, we're going to be having like a barbecue, we are going to be having feasting, we're going to have archery competitions and air rifle competitions, perhaps we'll have some workshops, we'll have maybe some stalls if any of the citizens of the Empire want to set up shop and sell some merchandise, get those Sumerian status, get some more blanks perhaps, and bring them to the woodland, and people can actually mint some status if they want. I mean, there's various things that we can do. It just depends what we eventually decide on doing. But at the moment, what I would like to say is that if you are interested in attending the Imperial Summit, it is, broadly speaking, open to everyone. You don't have to be a citizen of Wayward, don't have to be a citizen of Stomaria, don't have to be a citizen of any other member state. You can just be interested in what we're doing. You can be supportive of what we're doing. You might have been following us for some time, or maybe you're just curious. You've just come across us recently and think, maybe I can go down and have a look and see what it's all about, and maybe get more involved if it is for you. So it is relatively open in that sense. However, if you do want to attend, you don't just show up on the day, in the sense that what you do is you just have to send us an email. You can find all the contact details on our website, but send us an email and we will go through what exactly is going to happen. Now, the reason that we need an email is because we need an estimation of numbers before the event, for obvious reasons. We don't know how much food we're going to need. We don't know how many people are going to require pitches, if they're going to be staying at the woodland, if they're going to be camping at the woodland, or if they're going to be parked in camper vans up the lane. There's only so many we can allow to do that. Equally, there's an issue with health and safety. There's an issue of not knowing who these people are necessarily, so we just want to make sure the ratio with familiar faces to strangers is perhaps a bit more balanced. Again, just for peace of mind and ease of mind, I suppose, for those that are regulars there. But yeah, all in all, I think that's about everything that I wanted to cover. So if you wanted to get involved in the Imperial Summit, if you wanted to attend, then please get in touch and let us know. If you want to show your support for Stomaria or play an active role in our development and expansion, you can join as a citizen through the links below. Otherwise, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We'll catch you in the next one.